When a new stand mixer comes on the market, I get a little giggly. Well, a new stand mixer is on the market, and it is the Wolf. I don't know if you're familiar with Wolf, but Wolf is owned by Sub-Zero. They are a high-end appliance manufacturer, and they have brought out a small appliance line. And the stand mixer is the newest addition to that line. It took us quite a while to get the Wolf, but now that it's in the kitchen, it's time to give it our full Amy Learns to Cook test and review. So join me and let's see what this Wolf has to offer. So we're going to be judging the Wolf based on the categories that we've done for all the other stand mixers. First off, we're going to look at the overall look and feel. That's the fit, the finish, the features, how it looks, and how it is, what kind of experience the cook has with the mixer. Next, we're going to be using the whip to make whipped cream. We're going to be using the paddle, which I have on here, to make some cookies, and we're going to be using the dough hook to make some bread dough. So let's get to it. Right, cooks, we got the Wolf in the house. Can you believe it? Took a while, but it is here. So the overall look and feel. The basic stats of this mixer is it's a 7-quart mixer with 500 watts. Now, I don't compare the watts between brands because sometimes people do, or companies do, funny things with the watts, and I don't think you can compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges with these things because they have some funny math sometimes. So we're just going to leave the watts at that. 7-quart, 500 watts. This is an expensive mixer. It's about $900. So we're going to expect a lot out of this machine because of the price range. So it comes with the pouring shield here, standard. It comes with a dough hook. Look at how big this thing is. This thing is huge. And it looks like it's a spiral dough hook. It comes with a whip or a whisk. It is very large too. Of course, it's a big bowl, so we're going to have a big whisk. The shape is kind of like a rectangle. It's kind of flat, long and flat, so that's kind of interesting. And we also have our paddle, which is huge, right? Because it's a big bowl. There's our paddle. So pretty standard accessories. So it does have a hub on it. This front thing is like magnetic. They don't really have anything out yet. Not sure what they plan. I see a meat grinder on their website, but I don't know if you can order that yet. And it has a very interesting bowl lift. So normally on a bowl lift, you're going to use a crank, right? This bowl lift, you put here's a big old bowl, right? Interesting shape to it. You put the bowl in here, and then you just twist it, and it rises up on these little tracks that are in the base of it. So that's your bowl lift, just like that. Up and down. Kind of interesting. And let's put our paddle on. Lift. We'll plug it in. And it says it has this variable speed. So it's not like you go 1, 2, 3, 4. There's just a variableness to it. So that's a constant increase between 1 and the top speed. It does have a pulse. And it also has a slow start. So it will start and then it'll ramp up. It's fairly quiet.
Not that noisy at all.
No. There was a little bit of rocking to it. Very slight rocking. But I also have it up on the highest speed. Pretty quiet for a stand mixer. Interesting. So, my opinion of the overall look and feel. It's a beast of a mixer. I'm going to tell you, it's not a mixer that you're going to put on your counter and move around too much. There's a lot of weight to it. It's a substantial 7-quart mixer, right? And there's a lot behind it. It's nice and quiet. There's a slight shake to it at the higher speed, but it's not that big a deal. Currently, the attachments are limited, so you just have to be aware of that. I don't know what they plan in the future, but if attachments are a big thing for you, it's really limited at this point. I really think this bowl lift thing is pretty interesting. Unique. I give them a lot of credit for trying to come up with something new and interesting. The only thing I can say is these are top rack dishwasher safe, I believe. The bowl is not dishwasher safe, so you do have to wash the bowl by hand. I used it once to make a cake, and Eric washed it for me, and he said there was a little bit of stuff caught up under this lip, and when he washed it first, he didn't see that, and then when he was drying it, he saw that, so he had to go back and rewash it. So just be aware that that is there. I did notice that this stainless steel does get a little bit of fingerprints on it, and so I had to kind of take a little special effort to shine it up to get rid of those fingerprints, so that was slightly an issue. Otherwise, it's a beast of a mixer, and yeah, I actually really like it. So I'm going to give it an A. First up is whipped cream. So we've chilled the bowl and the whip, and we have 2 cups of heavy cream in a chilled Pyrex. I'm going to pour this baby in, and let's get to whipping. I'm going to put in a little bit of powdered sugar and a dash of vanilla, and let's finish it off. Woo! Whoops. Let's see. I think I've got whipped cream here. We sure do. Woo! We have whipped cream. It gets an A. Okay, so next up we're going to use the paddle attachment. We are making classic oatmeal raisin cookies straight off the box of the Quaker oatmeal, Quaker oatmeal box. So I turned the mixer around so I could see it a little better. So I'll let you know what speed we're on. This just makes it easier for me to load stuff into the mixer. So in the bowl of the mixer, I have butter. And you know, every good cookie recipe starts out with butter, right? We're also going to put in some white sugar. Woo. And I also have some brown sugar. So we're going to go ahead and put that in here as well. We're going to raise our mixer up here. And we're going to cream these. So one of the things about a stand mixer, the quality of the beater is how well it creams. And we're going to do a demonstration in the future between 2 mixers one of which I don't feel like creams very well, and ones that creams really well, so we can see how creaming should be, right? So let's go. So we definitely need to scrape it down. One issue I did see a little bit is, took a little bit for the very bottom of the ingredients to come together and get swooped up into it. So let's see. Yeah, once again, if this had a scraper paddle, we would be in business, right? So we're going to add an egg and our vanilla. Quite a bit of scraping. So I just have a bowl here for our dry ingredients. I'm going to put flour in here. I'm going to put some cinnamon and nutmeg. We also have some salt and some baking soda. I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to combine those. We're going to put our flour. What do you guys think about me using this? Just to try it out. What the hey, right? I actually kind of like it. It has a big shoot on it. And we have 3 cups of our oats. Woo! Carried away there. have a cup and a half of raisins for our oatmeal raisin. Oof. Okay, so let's lower this bowl down here. And let me take a look at it. Okay, so Eric moved the mixer for me. You know, there was quite a bit of scrapey. I think the shape of the bowl kind of does some of the things that a lot of other mixers that have some of these longer bowls where things kind of get trapped down there a little bit. I think if there was a scraper paddle, it would help with that a little bit. I don't think it was a totally like a deal killer, because I can tell you when I do even a single recipe of oatmeal raisin cookies in like an artisan, one single batch tends to overwhelm an artisan. This mixer had absolutely no trouble. It makes it just as well as a basic like snickerdoodle or peanut butter cookie. But this is a heavy dough because of all that, of all the oatmeal, and it didn't struggle with that at all. I think it did a fantastic job in that regard. The only issue is you don't have a lot of those extra things, like you don't have a scraper beetle, and a little bit because of the shape of the bowl, you get a little bit stuck down at the bottom. When I was creaming the butter and the sugar, took a little bit more time for that to come up in there and get mixed in a little bit more than I, would like, especially in a mixer this big. But I think that's like my biggest issue with it. I think it had enough power to do this. I could have done a double recipe in here, no problem. One thing that I did notice is I'm used to mixers that have a soft start or a slower start. Ones that don't just pow, so all your ingredients go flying everywhere, right? So it starts up slow and gradually ramps up to speed. One thing I notice about the Wolf is that slow start takes longer to ramp up than other mixers. So when I initially turn it on, it's like, and it's taking a little bit longer, and then it starts going up. And I kind of, just because I'm used to mixers with a little bit of a faster slow start, it's kind of was a little shocking to me. I was like, okay, is this thing gonna go, right? It does go, it's just that the slow start is faster. So it's not really a fault of the mixer, it's just what I'm used to.
You have to be more patient.
Yeah, you have to be a little bit more patient. So, yeah, I think I'll give it an A-. Okay, now we're at the true test of a stand mixer. We're gonna make bread. I have this equipped with the dough hook. We're gonna go ahead and put our water in here. This is a little warm, maybe about 100 degrees. And we're gonna put our yeast. I'm using instant yeast, so we can go right ahead with the recipe. We're gonna put some sugar in there, the yeast's best friend. We're going to raise our bowl. And we're gonna start the rock and roll. Let me put some butter in here. Give us a little flavor and softening agent. So we're gonna start with our flour. I have like 6.5 cups of flour. I'm not sure exactly how much it's gonna take, but it'll be close. Now I got some salt. And right now I'm on a 2. The bowl moves around a little bit more, slightly more than what I'm used to. Maybe because on a KitchenAid you have like the two side things where the bowl goes into. But this is sort of, you know, it's not that big a deal. It's looking fabulous. There's no laboring. It didn't labor at all as I was putting the flour in. It has cleaned the bowl. Nicely. I'm a little slightly sticky, so I'll put a little bit more flour in there. One thing with the variable speed, there isn't like the 1, 2, 3 kind of thing. So you just really have to watch with the dial where it's lining up, because the speed just changes with the dial. You don't have to specifically go to a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. So we're going to let this knead and we'll see what happens. Okay, let me get it out on the board and see what we have. Okay, so let's get our dough out of here. Woo, right? So we have a really nice dough ball. Really, really nice. I kept adjusting the flour on it because I didn't want it to get overly stiff, but I didn't want it overly sticky. And look at that. We have a beautiful dough ball. We have some boom, 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 right? Boom, 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 boom. That's our gluten. Developed nicely. I put a big hole in it right there. I'm doing that. I think it did a great job. So first, my feeling about the bread. So I let this mixer go for 10 minutes kneading this dough on it too. And it didn't bat an eye at it. I really think I could do 4 loaves of bread in there and the mixer would hand it with no problem. I'm not exactly sure like the capacity in terms of the owner's manual, but I really think it has enough power. I could do more dough. I don't think it would have a problem with that. The bowl did move around a little bit, and I'm thinking maybe, you know, a mixer takes on a lot of resistance and all that stuff when it's doing dough. It's the most challenging for a mixer. So you're either going to have the bowl moving or you're going to have the mixer moving a little bit, because I think they're like moving against each other, right?
Or a tilt head, the head is going to bob.
Yeah, the head's going to bob. So, you know, I don't think that was a big deal. The comment that we had was this bowl has these little pins in it that go into this, and it slides up on like a ski slope looking thing. And my only concern is if I use this day in and day out with these things, you know, mess up. I don't know. This mixer has a 5-year warranty on it, which nobody in the mixer world gives that kind of warranty on their mixers. So I'm confident that, you know, it probably won't, because they wouldn't want to back it for so long if that was the case. Yeah, I think, you know, I'm struggling because this is a $900 mixer. And when I compare it against a lot of the other mixers that I have, mainly, if you just say Wolf versus Pro 600, I can tell you between those two things, the Wolf blew the Pro 600 out of the water, right? I really think it's quieter. I think the motor can handle more. It's a more robust, heavy-duty mixer compared to the Pro 600. So between the two, if money was no issue like that, I would say, to me, the Wolf over the Pro 600, every day of the week. Now, you're also then starting to get into other mixers like the big Kenwoods and the Commercial 8. My initial reaction between the Wolf and the Commercial 8 is, based on just this one time using it, my vote between those two off the top of my head, having used the Commercial 8 and now having used the Wolf one time, is, who do you think I think would win over those two?
I think you like the Wolf.
I think the Wolf would be my choice over those. It might be interesting if we put the two head to head to get a confirmation of that. But my initial reaction is Wolf over the Commercial 8.
Question for you. Is that because the Commercial 8 has speed control that you're not sold on, or the Wolf has been smooth?
The Wolf is smooth, it's quiet, I don't know. Yeah, I would say, so for me to do kind of a speed fire round of what my pros and cons of this mixer. First and foremost, pro is it's a heavy duty, robust mixer for planetary. So if you're committed to a planetary mixer, I would say this mixer is up on the higher end of all the ones that I've tested. Pro would be, it's a brand that is a boutique brand that has prestige, right? So I would say that is a plus. Even though, you say, oh, I don't look at brands, we still look at brands, right? Other things that I like about it, it's quiet. It's got a lot of power. I actually like the bowl. I think it's a really funky bowl, and I think this lifting, the way it lifts, is a really funky and innovative design, and I like it. I'm concerned about it, like if I will screw these little things up on here. But it does have a 5-year warranty, so we'll see. Ask me a year from now what I think of that. And I'll be able to tell you. My opinion is I like it at this point, but I've only used it now. This is only really the first comprehensive time I've used it. I used it one other time to make a cake. So that's a pro. I think it has good quality attachments that are, on the high end. That's a pro. So if I want to rapid fire some of the cons, I would say one of the cons is the fact that this is not dishwasher safe. It's not dishwasher safe because of the metal. I think just because of the handle. They may just say to hand wash it just to prolong its life. Another con to me was maybe that bowl moved around a little bit, but I don't know if that's inherent in the design, so I can't say that is a con. Another con would be that this bowl does dip down and does have a little bit of the issue that some of the other mixers, like the Kenwood and stuff like that, when you have sort of more of a V-shaped bowl, that stuff tends to stay around the bottom. This did incorporate it eventually, but it did take a little bit longer and I had to scrape it a few times. That's not that big a deal to me, but that's just something to be aware of. For the mixer geeks out there, I think this mixer, I love it. I actually love the mixer, but I think it's very expensive. And do I say it's a $900 mixer? I can tell you, I think I paid in the high sevens for it because I happened to get a discount for opening a credit card and putting it on that credit card. But just straight out, ordering, it's a $900 mixer. And I know there's a lot of other options out there. There's, the Bosches and the Anchor's Room. But a lot of times I put those in kind of a different kind of category. I mean,
They're not planetaries, but
they're not a planetary mixer.
But this is stainless steel. It's the only stainless steel mixer you got.
Yeah. I think that, I don't know. It's hard for me to compare it. You know, some people say, oh, in a Bosch, I can make 6 loaves of bread and whatever. I don't make 6 loaves of bread, so that isn't, you know, an issue for me. There are people that may just like planetary mixers, and I do like planetary mixers. I love all mixers. So in terms of the power, I was trying to explain this to Eric, and I really had trouble explaining what I mean by it. But when I use other mixers, and I'm, in terms of my experience as the cook, and I'm making something like a heavy cookie dough or a bread dough, I'm conscious of the power because the mixer is responding in a way where I either have to turn it up a little bit to overcome that power issue, or I feel a stress in the mixer that is just there, right? I feel that this mixer, I did not have that feeling. I feel like this mixer ran the same when I was creaming the butter and the sugar, and it ran the same when I put in the flour and the oats. It didn't labor at all. It didn't require me to increase the speed to overcome the lack of power. It just kept going. The sound of the motor was the same. It didn't bog it down whatsoever, and it didn't do that with the bread dough either. And I don't experience that with a lot of other mixers. A lot of other mixers, when I'm cooking a heavy, I'm mixing a heavy like oatmeal, even a single batch. If I would have put that batch into the artisan, I would really have to crank it a little bit to overcome the lack of oomph in that mixer.
Low in power.
Yeah, low in power. And you don't have that with this mixer at all. It was like rock steady between the easy to mix stuff and the hard to mix stuff. It was smooth as silk.
The only thing that threw you off was the slow start was longer than what other mixers are.
Yeah.
And you were wanting to crank the speed up until you realized you didn't have to.
Yeah, I want to, like, if I were to, I turn it on and set it to 3 because that slow start is longer. My automatic reaction was the one to crank it because I'm like, that's, because it took long, I'm thinking that's where 3 is. But when it revved up, and 3 was somewhere else, and I was like, okay, that's just something for me to get used to because I'm not used to a mixer with quite a long, slow start as this mixer has. But yeah, it's not an issue once you get used to it. It's just I'm not used to it. So when I get used to it, you know, it won't even faze me. So in terms of the power, I think the Wolf is there. I would say on my scale, this is, of planetary mixers, this mixer is near the top. And I really think that if I put the Commercial 8 and the Cooking Chef here and did like a head-to-head on all 3 or 2 and 2 or whatever.
Or the Hobart.
Or the Hobart.
Or your Viking.
Or the Viking. I don't know how the Viking would perform. I haven't really ran the Viking too much.
Probably more like a Pro 6.
I don't know. You can't judge the Viking against this because the Viking is older, squeakier, all that, right? You just have to judge it on its performance. And so my answer is the Wolf mixer a buy? It's a buy to me. Is it a buy for someone who, would I say, someone who thought they were going to pay $300 for a mixer and I say, you know, don't do that, buy this because it's that fabulous? I wouldn't say that. For the mixer enthusiast, the cooking enthusiast, the person that loves higher end equipment and is willing to pay for that, I think it's a great mixer. So I'll just leave it at that. So the Wolf Gourmet gets an A from Amy Learns to Cook. If you like this video, please subscribe below, leave me a comment and a like, and don't forget to hit that bell so you're notified of our uploads. Also, visit my website where you can get all my recipes at amylearnstocook.com. You can also catch me on social media at facebook.com/groups/amylearnstocook. You can also catch me on Pinterest and Twitter at Amy Learns to Cook, and on Instagram, you can catch me at Cooking with Amy. Now let's bake this bread.
Let's say something, Boo. Say hi.
Testing, testing. Woo, woo, woo.
I think.
Ow!
Okay. Where is the thunder?